Let me let you in on a little secret. Do you want to build muscle? Do you want to look as aesthetic as Leon Edwards? This is all you have to do. Get stronger in the gym, with the right guidelines, of course. But what happens when you plateau? When you're struggling to add weight to the bar? Or even worse, you're losing strength? Yeah, you're in a little bit of a pickle. But luckily, you're a supporter of athletic bodybuilding and a member of the Leon Edwards fan club. So I'm gonna give you 7 tips to make sure you don't plateau and you keep getting strength month by month. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video where I have an exclusive offer to help you with your transformation and muscle building goals. Most of the information I will provide in this video comes from this textbook, The Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning, which is the gold standard textbook for athletic performance here in the United States. Which is why you should drop a like, because I'm not a brickhead bro science bodybuilder. And if that doesn't convince you to drop a like in support of Leon for his upcoming fight where he's gonna defend that welterweight title. You might be wondering, other than your education, how can I trust you? Well, luckily I have a video where I did my strength challenge with my brother, so you get to see our strength numbers on all of our compound lifts. And I'll let you know they were pretty impressive, Mario said humbly. So if you're in down and you want to see my strength numbers, be sure to check out that video. The first problem you have is you're not being patient. Building strength is like building muscle. You're not gonna have one workout and start building muscle and seeing progress. It takes time and discipline and consistency of going to the gym to end up seeing progress. With the rise of TikTok, a bunch of young men are obsessed with instant pleasures. Big ones being video games and jerking the chicken. These are short-term gratification activities when we all know the long-term gratification activities are what really build your life, myself included. Do you think the first time I went to the gym, I built my aesthetic physique? Do you think the first video I posted on YouTube, I built this big YouTube channel? Good things come to those who wait. It didn't take a week, didn't take 3 months, it took more like 6 months for my YouTube to really start popping off. But I kept working at it day by day, and that's why you're watching this video. And you need to use this same concept and this same mentality in your strength training and your muscle building goals. Keep going to the gym and training hard, and that muscle and strength will come. And a more scientific reason you're not building strength is that you're overtraining. A lot of these gym goers say overtraining is a myth, but it's definitely real. If you keep lifting hard month by month without a break, you're gonna see your numbers decline. And that's not even the worst of it, because you're gonna see a lot of health related symptoms as a result of this. And through my observations, I say a majority of injuries aren't skill or form based, but as a result of overtraining. To not risk overtraining, you need to be taking a deload week every 3 to 4 months. And if you're over the age of 30, more like 2 to 3 months. And this applies to both people training for strength and muscle growth. Before taking deload weeks, I notice I'm getting tired in the gym early in my sessions, and after the deload week, I feel energized and my strength numbers continue to climb. And there are 3 methods of deload. First is take a break. Let's just say you have a vacation or you just want time off in the gym. Taking a whole week break can work, and I've seen success using this method. However, the research says you should probably be lifting during this period to maximize your progress. And the 2 ways to do this is to either reduce the volume in your training or the intensity. And there's one method that works the best, and I'm pretty sure it's probably not the one you were thinking. Think about NBA athletes, for example. They have 82 games in a season, and eventually they're gonna have to lift on the same day as their game. And their trainers actually reduce their volume and not their intensity. Volume is the biggest contributor to fatigue, which is why you need to reduce your volume by 40 to 60% during your deload week. In my private community, the Ultimate Athletic Bodybuilding Academy, all of the workouts have 10 sets per muscle group. So 20 sets in total for a given workout. And in a deload week, I like to half the volume by 50%, which will end up being 5 sets per muscle group or 10 sets for the entire workout. I highly recommend my Ultimate Athletic Bodybuilding Academy, which is a private community where I work with you and give you all the tools you need to make a body transformation and build muscle and strength. But in a deload week, your workouts are the same in terms of intensity. You should be lifting at a high intensity to make sure you're making progress, but you're just doing less in the gym, which will give your body a chance to recover from all those months of hard work you were doing. Another reason why you're probably not making progress or gaining strength is because you haven't given your body a strong enough strength stimulus. I'm sure many of you know I don't train for strength, and I don't even really train for athletic performance as a focus. I train for hypertrophy and building muscle, which means I train in the hypertrophy rep range, which is 6 to 12. And I got stronger in this rep range by just progressively overloading, but eventually I plateaued. If you want to train for strength, you need to be training under 6 reps, but 6 reps is still in that 6 to 12 rep range. So I even recommend training 5 reps and below to maximize your strength stimulus. And if you're like me and you're training for hypertrophy most of the time, I recommend training in like a 2 to 4 rep range, as this will be a huge neuromuscular shock to your body, which will help you gain strength. And when you're lifting under 6 reps, I know I'm the no belt guy, I'm the anti-belt guy, but you need to be wearing a belt. The NSCA recommends you're using a belt when you're lifting 85% or more of your 1 rep max, which is your 6 rep max or below, which applies here. When I was training for strength, I had to borrow the gym's belt because I don't have one because I normally don't train for it. But when you're training for strength, which means lifting very heavy, you need to be wearing a belt for safety reasons. Even if you're training for muscle growth, you should be dedicating 1 to 2 blocks per year where you're training for strength, which is why I'm here to help you out. I designed a strength training program designed for athletes and athletic bodybuilders, aimed to help you maximize your strength so you continue to make progress in whatever your goals are. It is a 6-week program that I put a lot of time and effort to make, and I'm giving you guys a great deal on it. This strength training program is only gonna be $19 for a 6-week program. If you know anything about programs, you know this is a crazy deal. This program will be at the top of the description and as the pinned comment. It is a hell of a deal for those who are serious about their aesthetics and their athletics. Another reason you might not be getting strength is you're not resting long enough. The recommended amount of rest time for building strength is 2 to 5 minutes, and research shows that if you have time, you'd benefit from resting on the higher end of that range. And this particularly applies to compound lifts, which I recommend resting between 4 to 5 minutes on these lifts if your aim is for building strength. And for those lifts that aren't compound lifts, I'd recommend lifting 2 to 3 minutes. And there might be some of you who are not training for hypertrophy. This is only relating to my audience that are athletes, as many of you guys are like me who are trying to build their aesthetics more than their athletics. But in order to optimize your performance as an athlete, you have to build muscle. In order to achieve higher force production, you have to increase the cross-sectional area, aka you need to build bigger muscles. And I'm gonna say something that's very controversial because I'm known as the anti-machine, never use machine guy, but if you hit a hard plateau in strength and building muscle, you might want to incorporate some machine work in your blocks of training. Yes, I said it. I'm a hardcore athletic bodybuilding training kind of guy, and I'm trying to build that aesthetic athlete body, so I still don't use machines because I don't really need to and I don't see the benefit of it. But for those of you who have powerlifting aspirations or are just really plateauing hard on your lifts, definitely use machines. It would be a disservice of me to not let you guys know this information. Think about a squat. You're moving at the ankle, knee, and hip. And let's just say you plateaued like crazy in your squat. Maybe you should get bigger quads to make sure you're building strength on that movement. So in a block of training, you might hit leg presses, which is completely functional in this training sense and valid. The big problem with machines is people who make it their focus and priority and completely ignore the compound lifts. This will cause you to build an unaesthetic body that's not healthy and will lead to a lot of injury risk in the future because you have low stability and you've built muscle, so you might be like a 200-pound guy with the bone and joint strength of someone who's like 150. Keep in mind, no matter if you're training for strength primarily or hypertrophy, you need to be doing both. For some reason, bodybuilders are saying training for hypertrophy and training for strength are the same, which is completely false. However, they do correlate a lot, which is why even if you're training for hypertrophy, you should be doing some blocks of strength training, and even if you're training for strength training, do some blocks of hypertrophy training. And for those of you who are hardcore, you might be lifting heavy too often. Your muscles need 48 to 72 hours to recover, which is very easy to work around with workout splits like the push-pull leg split. But your nervous system needs 48 hours to recover. So you can't be doing heavy squats on Monday and then the next day on a Tuesday doing heavy bench press. Your nervous system wouldn't have recovered in time, which is why when training for strength, you should alternate heavy days and light days. So maybe Mondays heavy, Tuesdays light, Wednesdays heavy, Thursdays light, etc. However, I do believe when you're training for strength, you might as well just take the next day off. Do something like walking or MMA training, something that's not weightlifting, to give your nervous system time to recover. When I first started training for strength, I was doing strength training 6 days a week, like a push-pull leg split, but just with strength training, and I wasn't making the progress I wanted to. Eventually, I learned this later when I was studying for strength and conditioning, and I realized, yeah, I was doing all of that completely wrong. And the very last reason number 7, you're not eating enough carbs. Because of this new keto, carnivore diet kind of crap, a lot of people think of carbs as the enemy, when they're the main fuel source for your workouts, and even more so when you're training for strength. The NSCA recommends you eat 5 to 6 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight if you're trying to maximize strength and speed. I didn't know my carb intake was supposed to be this high, so when I calculated my range, I was eating way below that. So I'm 170 pounds, so my carb intake is 386 to 464. And I swear I was barely even getting 200 grams of carbs. So I was greatly limiting my potential to continue to make progress in the weight room. Carb timing is pretty important. I went over the carb timing that's important for muscle growth and recovery in my other nutrition videos, so you want to check those out. But for strength training, if you're training at night, you want to be having your carbs in the morning/the afternoon. And if you're someone like me who trains in the morning, have a bulk of your carbs at night. All right, so me from the future, because I forgot to say something, so you guys get an extra tip in this video, which is that you need to be changing your workouts every 4 to 6 weeks. When I tell people to change their workouts every 4 to 6 weeks, they're like, how do I progressively overload? And they come up with a bunch of reasons why it's not true. But this is just a fundamental principle of strength and conditioning. If you do your same workouts month by month, what you're gonna realize is you're gonna end up plateauing like crazy because you're not giving your body a new training stimulus, plus your body's gonna get used to what you're doing. It's gonna be like, hey, I know Jimmy's gonna put 45 pounds in the bar, crank out 8 for warm up, and then do 225. Your body's smart and will catch on to what you're doing, so you won't adapt or build muscle and strength. And for my personal lifting journey, I couldn't get to 225 bench press because I was working in the high rep ranges like 10 to 12. So when I went down to 6 to 8 reps, did that for several blocks of training, boom, I'm repping out 225. Imagine if I did that Hamza advice, which is to only work in the 10 to 15 rep range, I would have never increased the strength on my bench press. So yeah, change your workouts every 4 to 6 weeks, which I do for you in my Ultimate Athletic Bodybuilding Academy or my private community. So yeah, back to past me. And if you're serious about your aesthetics and athletics, check out my strength training program, the 6-week program in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.